Here is a nice example of German engineering. So, if somebody tried to throw a grenade into the ventilation pipe, it would then come out here and explode harmlessly in a little ditch next to the bunker. I'm at Crisbecq Battery, and this is the control battery for Azeville that I visited the other day. Its guns are much larger than Azeville, and some have a 360-degree traverse. However, they have very little protection in comparison to Azeville, with its large bomb-proof casemates and extensive encased concrete trench system. Crisbecq, also known as Marcouf Battery, after the town it was located next to, was one of 4 firing command posts covering the Normandy beaches. The other 3 being the Grand Bunker at Ouistreham, Longsemer, and Pointe de Hoc. Not only was it an extremely important location, it was also the most powerful gun battery in the area, and the first to engage the invasion force on D-Day. Originally designed in 1941 to hold 5 guns, it soon ballooned and by 1944 had some 11 guns at its disposal, 2 15.5cm guns, 3 21cm Skoda guns, and 6 7.5cm anti-aircraft guns that could also be used on ground targets, not to mention a formidable outer network of defences. Crisbecq was so big, it even had infirmaries, kitchens, and even laundry bunkers. Not surprising, as it was manned by around 400 soldiers. The command bunker alone, spread across 4 levels, consisted of 250 tons of steel and a total estimated weight including concrete of 10,000 tons. For comparison, the Eiffel Tower has an estimated weight of 11,000 tons. The battery was actually being upgraded at the time of D-Day to replace the open ring stand gun mounts with fortified bomb-proof casemates, using purposely built narrow-gauge railways to transport the required concrete and later utilised to transport ammunition. As you can see, this was not entirely completed. Luckily for the Allies, as the proposed armaments are modern 24cm guns with a range of around 20 miles. Even Field Marshal Rommel visited the site twice, on the 30th of January 1944, to inspect it and its proposed new casemates, returning on May the 10th to further inspect its progress. To the rear of the site, the Germans actually installed 6 fake ring stands to lure any attacks from the real threats. However, these were identified either by aerial reconnaissance or the local resistance and avoided entirely, as you can see from an aerial photo taken after heavy bombing of the site. There are 3 quite interesting things to see here. The large destroyed casemate also shows an attempt at camouflage. The patterns were caused by placing rope inside the moulds before pouring the concrete, and later being removed to leave this pattern. I can categorically inform you that this did very little to hide this enormous bunker from anything, but I guess at least they tried. So why was it so badly damaged? Well, after its capture, American engineers blew the bunker along with its ammunition, causing a huge explosion, sending its several-metre-thick roof into the air and back down. This casemate, placed outside the museum area, was test-fired after completion. By mistake, the shell landed near a strong point on Utah Beach, and to stop this happening again, the Germans placed a large mound of earth in front of the casemate to remind its crew where that battery was located, to avoid a similar incident. Extremely primitive, but an effective solution. There was also a direct hit to one of the bunker entrances, believed to be from Azeville Battery, when the commander of Crisbecq ordered them to fire directly on his location to repel an American attack. However, the trajectory does not match Azeville's location and was later believed to be a 105mm Sherman tank. It certainly caused some serious damage. It could have been done to test a possible method of breaching. Attacked by the 502nd Parachute Infantry Regiment of the 101st Airborne on June 6th at around 1 a.m, they were not enough to silence one of the largest batteries on the Atlantic Wall, and ultimately Crisbecq would be the first to raise the alarm that an invasion was imminent. In fact, it was never really captured, but in fact abandoned on the night of the 11th of June, once its defenders had run out of ammunition and a sufficient amount of men still capable of mounting its defence, but not before it reportedly claimed the only sinking of a ship by a shore battery on D-Day. the US destroyer Corry, who was split in half by the hit. The US report was hastily rewritten to say it was due to a mine, but both Crisbeck's commander and the captain of the ship originally agreed on its fate. Crisbecq would withstand thousands of tons of explosives from air, sea and land, and multiple assaults before being occupied by the Americans, and they used this as a command post for around 2 months leading up to the capture of Cherbourg.